What has been your experience in the type of sales that have been most effective when you've used it in your industry to build the empire that you've built today?
Well, I think the very basis of it, I would call it sharing more than selling. In other words, if I discover a cure to cancer, I want to share that with you. If I have a map that leads you to a gold mine and there's a lot of gold, enough for everybody, I want to share that with you so you can go get the gold, get the cure for cancer, whatever it might be. So for me, I've always had this image of my work as being climbing to the top of a mountain where there's a big ball of light, gathering as much light as I can hold, going back down the mountain and handing out snowballs of light to everybody. So that's kind of what I'm about, and believing that there are solutions to all problems that people can have that give them the experiences they want, experiences of love, being better parents, making a difference, being happier, etc. I will share a model I learned. It is a way, in a sense, to let people about their pain, but without rubbing their nose in it and without basically saying, you've got this and you need to handle it. So there's a friend of mine named Joel Roberts. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a trainer for many years of people about how to be on a talk show. And he was the number one talk show host in LA on KABC, I think it was called, that was the highest rated show during drive time in the evening going home. And he noticed once that he was interviewing John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And he said, there was something about that was the best interview I ever had. And so I went back and I listened to it again. And then I began to notice other interviews I had that were really successful. And I noticed a pattern. And the pattern was, it goes like this. He calls it the dip. You're going along in life, and all of a sudden there's something called a crisis. You have an automobile accident. You get your foot injured like you recently did. You go bankrupt. Your wife leaves you. You get diagnosed with leukemia. You go bankrupt. Some new technology comes along and basically puts your technology out of business. Amazon comes along, and all of a sudden your local retail store isn't working as well. Whatever it might be, that's this crisis. And that crisis sends you down into the valley. And what you want to do is describe the valley as if you've had it. You tell your own story. So in John's situation, he said, I was not happy in relationships. I was going along having these serial monogamy relationships. It never lasted that long. And I just was sick of it. And he said, so here I am in this crisis. And he said, then describe when you're in that place, what he calls the valley, describe your own experience. So I was lonely. I was frustrated. I thought maybe I'll never have a relationship. In my own life, for me, I was going along and all of a sudden I didn't have any money. I went to graduate school, got a job as a teacher, was making very little money a year. I was living in a $79 a month apartment, if you can imagine such a thing. And it had a Murphy bed that came out of the wall. Behind that was the closet. I had a little refrigerator. It was the size of the kind of mini bar you get in a hotel. I had a 2-burner stove. Literally, I could take 3 steps and hit the wall on either side of my apartment. And I was living, $120 a week was my pay. So the first 2 weeks, so we tried to subtract 79 from 120, I had very little money to live on. I was eating what I called my 21-cent dinners, which was tomato paste with garlic salt, salt and pepper, water, and noodles. Today, it'd be the ramen noodles that the kids eat in school. And I could go into, having to go to work on a bus and all these different things I couldn't do, couldn't take people out on dates. So I describe that in great detail. And then you say, and then I discovered something. So in my case, I discovered the success principles. I discovered a man named W. Clement Stone, who was a friend and a colleague of Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. And together they wrote a book on success as well. And I discovered those and I started applying them in my life, and my life took off. So you're down in the valley, describe it in detail. Now people can go, oh, he wasn't born with a silver spoon. He's not some rich guy that started out. He actually was poor like I am now, or not as well as he wanted to be. And then he discovered something. And what I discovered was W. Clement Stone. I discovered the success principles. John Gray discovered that men were different than women. He was treating women like men. And, doing the things that you do when you're a man, like, solving, woman tells you a problem, you interject, here's the solution. Women don't want that. They want to talk about the problem and then they land on their own solution, So he was doing everything wrong. And then he discovered, well, let me treat women differently. And he discovered what they really wanted. Now he gets married. He's happy. He's way up here, way up above where he started. I discovered an alkaline diet. That's how I got rid of my cancer. I discovered keto. I discovered meditation. I discovered the power of affirmations, plant medicine, The Secret, whatever it was. And then you give the audience a little bit of what you learned. So I could talk about the importance of goal setting, affirmations, visualization, acting as if, having support groups. I don't give them everything in my book or my program because then there'd be no reason for them to get it. But now I've whetted their appetite. I've given them some value. So now they've kind of test-driven Jack Canfield and go, wow, he says good things. Now they want to be with me. And so I think if you come from that kind of a way, you're still kind of introducing the fact that, I've been there where life wasn't perfect. And you're speaking to where they are, where the listeners are that are driving home from work or listening to your podcast or whatever, without rubbing their nose in it and then saying, hard sell, hard sell, hard sell. You want to make them want it as opposed to that they need it, is my opinion.
Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.